Joining us now is National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. I mentioned you earlier. I don't know if your ears were burning. Kevin, saw you yesterday in the room, shall we say, with the rest of the cabinet. What was the general? Just describe what you think went on yesterday. Depends on where you're, obviously, where you're sitting politically. Right. But for you, what was your takeaway?
First of all, I got to say that the spirits were really high, and that might be very common in cabinet meetings at the beginning, but I've never seen a meeting with people just being so glad to see each other. Everybody knew each other from before, and then the cabinet secretaries went through one by one. And you know what I was actually thinking? I almost said it, Joe, is that, you know, the director of the National Economic Council is not the chairman of the National Economic Council. The chairman is the president. My job is to make sure that the cabinet secretaries are adhering to the president's wishes. And I'm looking at all these competent people, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I don't have to work as hard as I thought. These guys really know what they're doing.
What do you think the final big, beautiful bill looks like? And will it, the piece in the Journal about, you know, Republicans are going to run away from Medicaid reform when it's just ballooned in recent years, far and wide above what it was ever intended to be, and now actually is an entitlement for able-bodied men and women. That's not what it was designed to be. Are you afraid to actually talk about Medicaid reform?
We're not afraid to talk about anything. And the thing that was sort of another thing that happened, Joe, yesterday was that we had our first big meeting of the White House, and the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader and the Chairman of the Finance Committee and Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. And we started to put together a roadmap for what the next stage of reconciliation and then ultimately the big tax bill is going to look like. And so there was a lot of interesting conversation between the two. It was very collegial. I think some members of the House wanted to talk about those matters. I think that waste, fraud, abuse will be on the table for everything. And I think that there's probably that in every single program. But the readout from the meeting that I had was that it was incredible also how well the Senate and the House people were working together. There were a lot of frank conversations about, I don't like this, I don't like that. And we agreed that we're all going to work together and get a bill to the president's desk as soon as possible.
Finding ways that in Medicaid is one thing. Actually deciding to cut Medicaid outlays is an entirely different thing. Is that on the table? Right now they're on track, Medicaid, to increase by $2.4 trillion through 2035. If you were to take off just under $1 trillion, $880 billion, it would still be rising 2% a year when Medicare and Social Security haven't really increased as a percentage of federal outlays since 2007, while Medicaid is soaring up 10%, up to 10% of federal outlays from 7%. Will that be on the table? Would the president let that happen, or is it too politically toxic?
President Trump has made it clear that he wants Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security to be safe for all people who deserve it. Now, if there's fraud anywhere in government, of course we're going to look at it. But he 100% is behind keeping all of those programs safe for the people who need those programs.
Are you have you become a big tariff guy yet, Ken? I don't think you were before.
You know, the interesting thing is that we've got a deadline coming up where the president yesterday, markets might not have noticed, extended by saying that we're going to deal with Mexico and Canada presumably the same time we deal with everything else. The schedule is that there's a study coming out on the 1st of April, and then after that, the president's going to decide what to do about tariff policy for all countries. And so I think that there are things that we can do when tariffs come in to make sure that the composite package is very, very much supply side. And so if you were to see, somebody were to say something to you like, hey, my country just took their income tax and cut it a lot and then got some of the revenue back with the value-added tax, then, you know, economists are saying, oh, that's going to increase growth. And then somehow there are people who think that if you do a tariff, that it's going to be the opposite. But if you look at the analysis that'll soon be coming out of the White House, we've got a whole bunch of studies on this, you'll see that President Trump has a super pro-growth agenda. It's very, very supply side. And if you look at one little bit and then make the worst assumptions, then maybe you can make it look bad. But if you look at the whole package, then we're looking for 3 to 4% growth for sure over the next 4 years.